Welcome everyone. So today we will talk about spiritual reasons for insulin resistance or diabetes, because like we talked about what is insulin resistance last time. And before we talk about the solution or what changes can we make, let's also understand the spiritual side of this illness, disease, or condition, whichever way we take it. Insulin resistance is something you will get into first, and then it becomes over time the diabetic condition. So as we learned last time, that what happens here is the body is not able to handle the blood sugar. What it means is you have the blood sugar, but body is not able to take care of it. Body is producing insulin. Pancreas is working. However, there is an insulin resistance. This body, the cells, they are rejecting, they are pushing it back. So now you have high blood sugar, high insulin in your body. And then that becomes your diabetic condition. There are diabetic conditions like they call type 1, type 2. One thing which is not commonly talked about is, because it's not official yet, though people do talk about it, that when you talk about Alzheimer's, the condition where we are having a situation, we think we are losing the mind's ability or brain's connection. So it is also linked to diabetic condition. It is not that the brain is losing connection, it is our access to the brain that is getting impacted. There is a whole set of process that takes place, and that is the end result when that happens. So step by step, if we really understand that why it is happening, what is happening, it's easier to understand. What happened is similarly in dementia also. It is not your connection, but with this, the sugar is getting deposited in between the neurons. So it is not that the brain is kind of you're dying. It is because of that gap between the neurons is filled with this, extra blood sugar and what it's called tar. So it's not just sugar directly, this tar is deposited in between the cells, and then we are losing capacity to access those neurons. And that's where Alzheimer or dementia kind of situation comes into our life. So you see, a lot of things are all related to the sugar and insulin and all this mechanism. Those two are nowadays called type 3 diabetic condition when you get into this Alzheimer and dementia. Again, not officially, but people in the industry are accepting and relating it to sugar. So let's look into the spiritual reason. So one has diabetic condition. Okay, we know the biological, the medical, allopathic. The spiritual side, sugar symbolically, what it means, it represents sweetness, the gift, kindness, proof of love, recognition. The presence of excessive sugar in the blood, it indicates that we have difficulty in managing or difficulty to live or difficulty to obtain sweetness in our life. conflict of fear, more resistance to look to someone or something that make us feel, which induces the fear, rejection, disappointment, injustice, those kind of things. The feeling of, being watched or persecuted is commonly found in some diabetic cases, either because it's actually happening to you or you are imagining. Means the person is just having that feeling, imagining. Either way, it is bad, but obviously, when nothing is happening, but you have perceived, for you, it is as real as it is really happening. So that's the pity. Nothing is there in real sense, but you have believed in it. And once you believe in it, like we talked about placebo, nocebo, it becomes nocebo, then it will impact exactly as if it is really happening. Insulin represent authority. So what happens? The person thinks, I want sweetness, but I receive torture. I face authority. I cannot resist. All those kind of things comes into play, whether it is at home, at work, or in general in society. You think people are coming after you. You think people are all against you. And you take that as a torture, you know, and you feel that, everybody is telling you what to do. Now, in general, especially if it is type 1, diabetic condition comes, to a person who is generally had a difficult childhood. It could be with both parents or at least one of them. Again, the authority, dictatorship, that kind of mechanism plays the role. Sometimes parent enforces very strict rules. They have standards of either expectations or, again, kind of rules, or that, okay, this is how you do, this is how everything has very strict guideline. So what happens to the child? He or she is being deprived of sweetness. There is no idea of the child's, of her or his own. You have to do what you are told. Or you can say the child is supposed to just execute the order. You have been told what to do. So what happens, even if the parents are doing with some good intention that the child will learn, child will be successful in life, you are thinking those things, but what's happening inside the child is resentment, tremendous, enormous. So the child is having that resentment. Child is getting hurt. Child is not recognized because there is no individuality. You have been told, you have been ordered what to do. And this is certainly not a positive situation to be in. So such lack of love, lack of, the experience where you have lack of tenderness, it sets a sad, a bitter taste. So your behavior will reflect that bitterness inside you. We cannot expect a good sense of humor or, normal laughter or normal life from such person who's been suppressed so much. People with diabetic condition, they have unrecognized desires. It's all inside them because they've been not allowed to do so. They've been told what to do so. What happens when you recall that hard time? You cannot now accept. You are not open to love, laughter, pleasure in life, happiness in life, because they don't think they are worthy. And when you are in such situation, what happens? You get into the anger, resentment. So the whole negativity, like you are full of it. You don't feel that you are valued, you are appreciated. So what happens? You may become very emotional. You are hardworking and helpful, but with many expectations. That means you have expectations. You're always expecting something in return because you didn't get at the beginning. So they have desires not only for themselves, but also for their loved ones. However, they can get very jealous when someone has more than them, or they can feel guilty if what you want doesn't get manifested. They feel guilty there. So that, your past is kind of controlling your future. The past is so foggy, past is so dark that you are not able to accept the sweetness in life. Now, that doesn't mean everybody with diabetic condition will have a very hard time during childhood and all. It could be of any degree, 0 to 100. And depending on some other factors, the outcome will be impacted. So what happens when you feel strong emotions like fear, stress, anxiety, resentment, jealousy? What happens? It directly impacts your solar plexus. And when your solar plexus chakra is impacted, what happens? Whichever the organs that it is directly impacting will be having some positive or negative impact, in this case, negative impact. So pancreas, liver, stomach, gallbladder, these are the organs which are directly impacted by solar plexus chakra. So what will happen? There will be weakness in this organ, and pancreas is directly related with insulin. So what happens here? Of course, you are lacking the love element here, because that's what was taken away because you were told all the time. So you took it as a command. And when there is no true love, you get into that negativity. You cannot take responsibility of your behavior, attitude, beliefs because you don't feel control, like your control. You feel like someone else is controlling you. And when you don't take 100% responsibility of your own, you are dependent on others. So because of these energy blocks in your chakra system, it continues, basically it keeps you in that loop. So you keep living your life in the same situation. So what happens? Something that has happened in the childhood drags the condition throughout your life. You are looking for that attention. You need others' approval because you never got in the early stage. You have guilt, deep-seated. You have believed that, yes, you have to struggle your whole life. Why? Because you are in that negative mode. You keep looking for the attention and approval. Even if you get some negativity, doesn't accept that. It doesn't recognize. And you keep looking at what you don't get. And whatever you have positivity in your life, the sweetness in life, you ignore. So everything looks negative. Then this gets extended in the relationship. And then you start losing relationship. Means any relationship you will have all negativity you will not enjoy because you cannot enjoy the sweetness. Because you're stuck in your old world, your own lack and limitation. Everything is either you don't have or you are very limited. So you are craving all the time for that love, for that attention, for you to be worthy or deserving because you think you don't deserve anything, you are unworthy. And this constant need of sweetness, the desire is there, but you know your feeling of unworthy and undeservedness is so strong that you think, no, 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 I will never get. And you stay in that. And that is the spiritual side, why the sweetness, which is the sugar element in your body, is not able to be absorbed, digested. Now, biologically, it happens through insulin resistance, but the question comes, why your body get into the mode of insulin resistance? Why, all that factors biologically, how it's happening. That is biological side, but why that thing is there, root cause is explained by spiritual thing. That is why when you take medicine, yes, it suppresses the condition or it improves a little bit in the sense that you are able to manage, but it's not fixing the problem. So this is the important reason to understand what is the spiritual side. So if we really kind of see what is, person in diabetic situation, as a soul, every soul is the same. But this soul feels that I'm not loved, I'm not accepted. So when you feel you're not loved, you're not accepted, the self-rejection, self-hatred, self-bitterness, guilt, all that element comes into play. And then it's a snowball effect. You start with little bit and then the ball keeps growing. One thing leads to the another. You're already in the negative mode and you say, yes, yes, I don't deserve. And any negativity you just add on. Like a magnet, you are attracting. Like type 1, primarily it's a self-hatred disease. Your pancreas is not able to produce insulin. That's type 1. You are on the riding the horse of self-hatred and anything and everything, and you are going full speed. So you see so many people around you with all this kind of burden of guilt, shame, and they are just self-blaming. Like whiners, sometimes we just call them, oh, this person is always whining. Anytime you go, the person will always bring the negativity because that's what you have inside. The problem here is that not only you have the self, that resentment, bitterness, but it is unforgiveness. That means you are not able to come out of that loop. You are not forgiving others, you are not forgiving yourself, negativity continues. So even adults can develop type 1 diabetes later in the stage, but usually it is the childhood, which gives you this environment knowingly, unknowingly. Sometimes it could be parents, relatives, friends, whichever way it has come, and then it is there for you for life. Especially it could come from father being generally more strict. It may be out of good intention, but however, the result could be very, negative for you. Because the child thinks something is wrong with me. Now they start attacking themselves. First, others are attacking. Attacking means negativity and command and, giving all that. Your values, your views has no value. Now they are attacking themselves because it has been ingrained so much that I'm useless, I'm worth, kind of, there's no worth. So then they live in that mode. They cannot enjoy themselves. Everything is unbearable. People are partying and this person is totally, you know, detached from that sweetness, cannot digest the sweetness in life. The person wants love, wants sweetness, but cannot, be bold enough to look for it because you have already accepted the failure. So the person doesn't know what true love is. So neither you can love someone nor you can be loved because you will feel negativity that no, 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 I'm worthless. No one can love me. person is kind of living life, resisting a lot, could be hyper, and then ends up letting go in the face of everything that revolves around causing all these things, hypo condition. And these situation comes where you can take allopathic medicines more and more and more. The more negativity you take, more medicine, but they are only suppressing, they are not fixing. So to really be able to come out of such situation, yes, you need medicine, you take medicine when you need, but by this understanding, you can help yourself that you can come out of this situation as soon as possible. That means first you understand the spiritual side, the emotional side, the root cause of any issue, any disease, any condition, health condition. So if diabetic condition, what you have is a resistance to something or someone, you have to accept who first yourself. So the first step is understanding whole this spirituality, what has happened, how it generally, the cycle completes and then it repeats and all those things. So once you understand, then the first change comes is you are not worthless, you are worthy. And the moment you have this change in your thought process, now you start accepting. Now you will see, okay, I can take certain action in order to achieve something in life, because otherwise you were just thinking that I'm worthless. But now you have some acceptance, you have some, you know, change in your thought process that yes, you can do something, you can achieve something. You can work on your emotion side, the emotional memory, because that's where the deep sorrow, the all the, guilt and pain and everything is. You have to dissolve it. How? Forgiveness. You have to break free from the past. You have to understand that love, joy, fun is for you too. Work on the affection with, people around you. This is the fundamental. True love is the fundamental basis for all humans. But if you want to move towards the future, you have to work on your past. You cannot change the past. You can only overcome the past. You have to let go. You have to forgive. Don't try to control things, because you have been controlled. We try, the same negativity. We exhibit the same kind of behavior. You have to trust the universe. And that will be the break of the cycle where you doubt everything. Gratitude, right? Be thankful for what you have. Open the doors of your heart. And then true love is limitless. It can go any distance. And of course, time is not a factor at all. One very critical thing is you have to live or do or act without any expectation in return, because that is a block. That block you have to remove. Don't expect anything. So when you're coming out of this diabetic condition, these are the things you have to keep it in mind. Now, so far you have lived your life somewhere, some factor that that is limiting you, considering that no, you're not worthy, you will never have. The abundant mindset was never there, because in fact it was negative, that you can never have the feeling of lack and that you will always live in lack. So you have to accept, you have to love yourself first before others, unconditionally. And very important that you understand your happiness is the only thing you can work on. Others' happiness, you cannot. So don't be under that guilt that, oh, I cannot help, whether parent, kids, or whatever. And we keep blaming ourselves. The moment we come into this abundance mindset, things start changing. So this is where we can do, a big change for ourselves when you start accepting when yourself, and then you will work on others. First is you yourself. Whatever has happened in the past, of course, as a next step, you can go to soul plan, purpose of life and all, but without even getting there, first is just working on your emotions, working on your feeling. And the moment you overcome all this negativity, now your situation, you will see how quickly it turns. It takes 10 to 15 years for a person biologically to get from insulin resistance condition to diabetic condition. It doesn't happen in a month or a year or so. So you may say, hey, I'm 50, all of a sudden something happened. No, not all of a sudden something happened. Nowadays, people in the young age 30s, they are happening, or they are having this situation, diabetic and all those things. And they say something happened. No, no, not something happened. If you are 30 and you are facing this situation, that means 10, 15 years before, you had the insulin resistance condition. And years before that, you were normal, but then moving towards the insulin resistance, so step by step. So you can trace it back to your teens or your real early childhood. So, masters, this is the spiritual reason of diabetic condition. Now, what changes we can make in our lifestyle? What changes we can make, to reverse and all we will see in the next session. But it's important to understand the spiritual side of it, that why it is coming into existence. Why me? First question comes, why only me? Everyone else is happy. Why I have this particular, whatever your health condition is. There's always a reason. It's important to understand so that you can reverse it quickly and effectively. That means forever. So important thing here is, don't think whatever we have talked about, everything has to be applicable to the person. No. If we talked about 10 things, doesn't mean all 10 items must be present in your life story. No. It could be just one, it could be two, it could be three maybe. But that doesn't mean everything must have happened in your life. No. It could be any one of the above or multiple of it, combination. It could have been childhood, it could have been in youth, it could have been later in your life. Only you can dig, only you can go back the memory lane and see, these things doesn't apply to me, but yeah, these couple of things apply to me, and then let me work on it. So it's not a copy paste. Everybody's story, individual, every soul has a unique path. You have to see your path, you have to dig, identify, and then okay, these are the things that I need to work. So masters, will stop our session here for today. Next session, we'll talk about details in terms of, whether allopathically, medically, otherwise, what changes, what solutions we can really bring into life.